Need tools? We've got you covered. Go to ChromebookParts.com or click on the link below to pick up this sleek, portable toolkit. Flip the unit over. Remove the stylus. And unscrew 10 captive screws from the bottom cover. Gently insert the opener pick between the bottom cover and the palmrest and slide along the edges to pop the bottom cover free. Please note that for any repair requiring of unplugging cables, we recommend first unplugging the battery from the motherboard. Remove 8 4mm screws from the motherboard. Remove the metal bracket. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the LCD cable from the motherboard. Unplug the stylus charger from the motherboard. Unplug the speaker cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the palmrest cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the touchpad cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clips and unplug the daughterboard cables from the motherboard. Unplug the camera cable from the motherboard. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the SIM card cable from the motherboard. Remove one 3mm screw from the LTE card and one 3mm screw from the Wi-Fi card. Unplug the Wi-Fi card from the motherboard. And unplug the LTE card from the motherboard. Gently lift up and slide the motherboard free, taking care not to bend or damage the ports. Remove 4 4mm screws from the battery. Unplug the LTE cable from the daughterboard. Remove 4 3.5mm screws from the daughterboard. Gently lift up and pull the daughterboard free, taking care not to bend or damage the ports. Twist the LTE card to pop the cables free, and do the same with the Wi-Fi card. Use the SIM card removal tool to eject the SIM card tray. And remove the two 4mm screws from the SIM card reader. Unwind the LTE cables from their grooves. And you may have to peel up a bit of tape to get them free. Remove the first speaker. And unwind the speaker cable free from its guiding path. Using the Spudger, pry the Stylus charger free and unwind its cable from the guiding path. Flip open the locking clip and unplug the touchpad cable from the touchpad. Remove three 1mm screws from the touchpad. These are located underneath the two flaps of tape. Lift the palmrest partway up and apply pressure to pop the touchpad free from the palmrest. Peel back the tape from the world-facing camera to remove. Remove 6 4.5mm screws from the hinges. Unseat the LCD cable and the antenna cables from their grooves. Place your fingers on the hinges and gently wiggle the palmrest free from the LCD assembly. Replace the palmrest back under the hinges and fold it back into place. Replace the 6 4.5mm screws back into the hinges. Replace the world-facing camera and reapply the tape. Replace the SIM card reader and replace the 2 4mm screws. Replace the SIM card tray. Replace the touchpad. And replace the 3 1mm screws. Plug the touchpad cable back into the touchpad. Replace the Stylus charger, and replace its cable back into the grooves. Replace the right speaker, and wind the cable back into its guiding path. This can take a while, so we're going to speed this process up a bit. And finally, replace the other speaker. Replace the LTE cables back into their grooves. Using the metal spudger, gently push down to plug the LTE cables back into the LTE card. Do the same with the antenna cables and the Wi-Fi card. Replace the Daughterboard back into its ports, Replace the metal bracket, and replace the 4 3.5mm screws. Using the metal spudger, gently push down to plug the LTE cable back into the daughterboard. Replace the battery. And replace the 4 4mm screws back into the battery. Replace the motherboard back into the port slots, and make sure all the cables are out from underneath. Replace the metal bracket, and replace the 8 4mm screws back into the motherboard. Plug the Wi-Fi card back into the motherboard, and plug the LTE card back into the motherboard. Replace the 1 3mm screw into the LTE card and the 1 3mm screw into the Wi-Fi card. Plug the camera back into the motherboard. Plug the daughterboard cables back into the motherboard. Plug the touchpad cable back into the motherboard. Plug the Palmrest cable back into the motherboard. Plug the speaker cable back into the motherboard. Plug the Stylus charger back into the motherboard. And finally, plug the LCD cable back into the motherboard. Be sure to reseat its cable back into the grooves. Plug the SIM card reader back into the motherboard. Plug the battery back into the motherboard. Replace the bottom cover and push down to snap it back into place. Tighten the 10 captive screws in the bottom cover.